This past weekend started off just like any other Saturday. I slept in a bit, which is rare, and when I finally rolled over, I leaned in to kiss my wife of 17 years, Rachel. She groaned and muttered, "Jake, let me sleep. I swear I can't get a break, at night or in the morning. And the girls are probably up by now." I chuckled and said, "You're right. But they're not little anymore, they're not gonna come charging into the bedroom." She mumbled something back and pulled the blanket over her head, so I got up, threw on a robe, and headed toward the bathroom. On the way, I heard some rustling coming from our oldest daughter Megan's room. Turned out her little sister, Lily, was yanking her out of bed. I figured I'd leave them to it. After a quick shower, I got dressed and walked into the kitchen. The girls had already taken matters into their own hands and were sitting at the table, clearly done waiting around. "Are we having breakfast today or what?" Megan asked, eyeing me expectantly. "You hungry?" I replied. "Thought you two still had school." She gave me a look. "Dad, we're on winter break." "Oh, right. You're going to Grandma's, aren't you?" Lily chimed in. "What about you? You off for the long weekend?" "That's your mom's call," I said. "She's the one calling the shots. You know we could make our own breakfast," Lily offered. "But Mom never lets us. Says we'd wreck the pans or burn everything. All I know how to make is scrambled eggs," Megan added. I smiled and asked, "So what'll it be? Oatmeal? Or some of that fancy semolina porridge like they have over in the UK?" "Oatmeal, please, sir," Megan said in her best fake British accent. I chuckled. "In that case, oatmeal it is, miss. Save the oats for the horses." They giggled, and I waved them off. "Go wash your faces and brush your teeth. Breakfast'll be ready in 15. As I started getting things ready, Rachel wandered out of the bedroom and into the bathroom. A few minutes later, the girls were back, eating, and Rachel joined us, freshly brushed and wearing one of my shirts. Even after all these years, I still thought she was stunning. Every guy has his own idea of beauty, but to me, she was it. I loved her. But something had been coming between us lately, something I couldn't quite name but felt stronger every day. She sat down and said to the girls, "Finish eating and take your time getting ready. Your dad's driving you to Grandma's today." Megan frowned. "Mom, you promised we'd go to the ski resort this week. We've already packed our gear, and we really wanted to do New Year's together." Rachel gave them a soft smile. "Girls, life doesn't always give us what we want. But I promise, we'll go during spring break, when the snow's better anyway. Or maybe we'll go to Palmer. I heard they've got snow year-round up in the mountains. Now finish up and go get dressed." I didn't like the idea of sending the kids to her parents' place, especially not with that lie about the ski trip. Something didn't sit right with me. And I couldn't shake the timing. It all started around the time Richard showed up. He was the new commercial director at Rachel's job, and from what I knew, someone she'd gone to college with. She hadn't told me much about him. That alone made me uneasy. Still, I told myself to trust her, that she'd never let things go too far. I'd even considered tracking the guy down just to talk to him face to face, but figured it'd only make things worse between me and Rachel. So instead, I just kept my eyes open. Far as I knew, nothing serious had happened. Maybe some harmless flirting. But her pushing the kids off to her parents during a long New Year's weekend? That felt like something was coming. A conversation, most likely, something big she needed space to say. I was ready. I had a recorder prepped, just in case. Whatever she had planned, I wanted to know the truth. I'd cried already. I was out of tears. Now I needed clarity, for myself and for our daughters. Before she could start whatever talk she had in mind, I slipped into the bathroom, washed my hands, and carefully turned on the recorder, tucking it into my shirt pocket. Then I went back to the kitchen and took my seat. Rachel sat quietly for a moment. Then she looked at me with the faintest smile, one that vanished almost as quickly as it appeared. And with a steady, serious voice she began. "Jake, there's something I need to talk to you. Right now," Rachel said, her voice calm but heavy, the kind of tone that lets you know something serious is coming, and it's probably not good. I didn't flinch, just looked away from my plate and asked, "Is something wrong?" She gave me a soft look. "Jake, nothing's wrong. You know I love you. I've loved only you for all these years. You've been an incredible partner, a great husband, and an amazing father to our girls. I want to grow old with you, maybe even die together, side by side." I blinked. "So what's stopping us?" She took a breath. "You know I studied sociology back in college. Not many of us from our program ended up working in that field. But the ones who did, well, they use all kinds of data and surveys to track what's going on in society, pinpoint what's causing problems in families and relationships, and suggest ways to fix them." "I know," I said, still unsure where she was going with this. "But you work in marketing, not sociology." "True, but I've always kept up with the research, especially the parts about relationships and family dynamics." "Rachel, you're losing me. Just get to the point." She nodded. "I've been reading up on the reasons marriages fall apart. I think we should be proactive, do something now to prevent problems later." I raised an eyebrow. "What exactly do you think is going wrong between us?" She looked frustrated. "Jake, I'm serious. I don't want us to drift apart. I think if we don't take steps now, we could end up resenting each other. So I've been thinking, maybe we should take a break. A short one. Just to reconnect with ourselves, figure out who we are outside of being husband and wife. And maybe even spend a little time with other people." My mouth went dry. "You mean like a separation? For how long?" "Not a big one," she said. "Just, like a long weekend. 2 or 3 days. That's why the girls are going to my parents' instead of the ski trip. I thought it would give us both a chance to breathe." I stared at her, stunned. "So this little break, it's because you want to spend the weekend with someone else?" She looked away, then back at me. "I don't think it'll change anything between us. I'll come back and everything will be fine. I'll still love you, Jake. I'll still be the same wife, the same mom. You might not understand it now, but someday you will. And you'll forgive me." I leaned in, voice low. "You're talking about Richard, aren't you?" She didn't answer. "You had a thing with him in college. And now he's back, and he's your boss, and suddenly you want a break to find yourself? Come on, Rachel. Be honest." She shook her head. "You're wrong." "Am I? You never even told me he was your new boss. I had to find that out on my own. And now this whole plan with the girls conveniently being gone for a long weekend? Sounds like you and Richard cooked this up together. That's not fair." "No, what's not fair is you pretending nothing will change. But it already has, Rachel. You've changed. Your whole attitude toward me, toward the girls, it's different. Something's broken, whether you admit it or not. I still love you," she said, voice cracking. "I don't know what you think is happening, but it's not what you believe. So what are you going to tell Megan and Lily? That their parents are just taking a break like it's some kind of vacation? We're not getting divorced, Jake. And I don't think our parents need to be involved either. This is just something between us. Sociology might be a science," I said coldly. "But this theory you and Richard came up with? It's garbage. You're trying to intellectualize cheating. That's all this is." She stood up, suddenly defensive. "You're overreacting. Let's just take the weekend, then come back and talk it through. We'll work things out." I pushed my chair back. "There's nothing to work out. I'm not staying here for this. Jake, you can't just walk away." I looked her dead in the eye. "Watch me." "I can and I will," I told her. "There's no way I'm going along with what you suggested." My decision to get a divorce wasn't something I'd been planning. It hit me in that moment, clear as day. "But I told you I was calling it off," Rachel said. "Yeah, and then you said we'd sit down and talk once I got back. So in the meantime, you get to enjoy a cozy, long weekend with your lover while I haul the girls around town?" I shook my head. "Go ahead and talk it over with Richard. I'm done playing the fool." Just then, Megan came into the kitchen. "Daddy, we're ready to go." "Be down in 5, girls," I said. I headed upstairs, got dressed quickly, grabbed my laptop, slung on my backpack, and walked out the front door without saying another word to Rachel. Downstairs, I started the car and let it warm up while the girls climbed into the back seat. From the window upstairs, Rachel watched us leave, confused and probably not expecting things to unfold this way. As I pulled onto the main road, no one spoke. The silence filled the car like a thick fog. Finally, Megan broke it. "Daddy, Grandma lives on the other side of town." "I know, sweetheart," I said, keeping my eyes on the road. "But you were promised a ski lodge. So that's where we're headed. We'll figure out the rest later." "Dad, are you and Mom getting a divorce?" she asked quietly. "Why would you think that?" "We overheard you two fighting in the kitchen," she said. "I'm on your side." "Right, Gwen. I'm on Dad's side too," Gwen added. "But where are we gonna live?" "We'll stay with Grandma for now. I'll pick you up from school, grab your books, your clothes, whatever you need. For now, let's just enjoy this little vacation, all right? You girls deserve it." Back at the house, Rachel turned away from the window and picked up her phone. She dialed Richard, who answered immediately. "Richard, it's me. I've got a problem." "No worries, I'm alone," he replied. "Has your husband left yet?" "He's leaving tonight. Just went to the store, probably on his way now." "What's going on?" "He didn't take it the way we expected. He didn't believe me." "Who?" "My husband. I offered him the weekend separation like we talked about. And? He didn't go for it. Turns out he knows about our history. He even brought up our time in college. He's talking divorce now." Richard paused. "That's not great. If this spreads, it'll be all over the office in no time. Kira's going to find out eventually." "I don't care about Kira. I'm not interested in divorcing my husband." "You never were you?" he asked, his voice suddenly cold. "So what now?" "I don't know. He's still dropping the girls at my parents' place, then coming back. He'll be home in a few hours." "Then this is what we do," Richard said. "Tell him there's no separation. Make it clear. Let his anger cool down a bit. We can't afford this becoming workplace gossip." Rachel hung up feeling slightly reassured by his support. Still, her thoughts were spinning. She tried to focus. Maybe a nice dinner would smooth things over, soften Jake's mood. The old saying about a man's heart and his stomach came to mind. She got dressed and went to a nearby cafe, picked up some takeout, and grabbed a bottle of wine. At home, she laid everything out: 2 glasses, the wine corkscrew, appetizers reheated in the microwave. She even turned on the TV and settled into the armchair in the living room, trying to create a warm, welcoming vibe. But deep down, she was starting to question if this fling with Richard, this brief, reckless revival of something long dead, was really worth it. She knew now that Jake had figured out more than she ever intended him to. And the truth was, she hadn't meant for any of it to escalate. Years ago, Richard had walked out of her life. She'd moved on and married Jake. But when she found out Richard was coming on board as the new commercial director at her company, something inside her stirred. They reconnected, yes. But it wasn't love. It wasn't even real intimacy. It was just something fleeting, a spark from the past reignited by proximity and nostalgia. Their first private talk made everything clear. "I always liked you, Rachel," Richard had said. "But I'm not going to blow up my life for this. I've got a family too. We keep this quiet, or we don't do it at all." Rachel had agreed. She told herself she could handle it, that it would stay casual, harmless. But life had other plans. And now, she was dealing with the fallout. For hours passed. Jake hadn't come home. Growing nervous, Rachel called her mom. After a slight delay, her mother answered. "Hey, sweetheart. Everything okay? I just wanted to check in, see how things are going over there. It's dark early this time of year." "We're fine, honey. Just sitting here with your dad." "Arguing again?" Her mom sighed. The usual. He wanted a drink, and I told him no, but he managed to find the bottle anyway. I hid the bottle. And how are you holding up, sweetheart? When are you bringing the girls to visit? My mom asked, her voice laced with concern. From the way she was talking, I could tell Rachel hadn't shown up at their place yet. After hanging up, she tried calling my parents. My dad answered, a tough as nails, retired military guy who never minced words. Rachel? Is that you? He asked, his voice already edged with suspicion. Yeah. I just wanted to check in, see how things are going. Cut the crap, he said. You're looking for Jake and the girls, right? Don't play dumb, he warned us you might call. So, he was there? Nope. Didn't show. But he called. Said you two are getting a divorce? That's ridiculous. She fired back. We had a misunderstanding, sure, but we're not getting divorced over something like that. Dad scoffed. It's not just some minor tiff, and you know it. It's about that guy from your job. What did you say to him this morning? I mentioned the idea of a short break, like a weekend. Rachel admitted. When he didn't agree, I told him I'd call it off. I thought we could talk more once he got back. Dad didn't hold back. Jake said he's done with the talking. He said he's going to handle things and won't be coming back. Thought you were still at home, sitting there, waiting, but not for him. That's not true, she said, defensive. There's no one else. No other man. I haven't made any plans. He knows about Richard, Dad said flatly. And when I told him he should drive up and talk to you face to face, he said, Dad, I'm not interested. I've got my daughters, and they're on my side. Where did he go? He didn't say. We were too upset to ask. Please, if he calls, just tell him he misunderstood. I never meant to hurt anyone. I thought I was doing what was best for our family. But maybe I made a mistake. Dad's voice softened, slightly. I don't know what to tell you. Me and your mother, we've been married a long time. Through hell and high water, but never once did we talk about separation. Who filled your head with this nonsense? He paused. If you're in love with someone else, then fine, go. But don't drag the rest of us through the mud while you figure it out. Pack your bags and go be with him. Don't destroy your husband and your kids in the process. Jake will get through it. He's a strong man. And those girls will be fine with him. You're wrong, she whispered. There's not going to be a divorce. That's what you think. But you don't know my son as well as you thought you did. I just need to explain it to him. He'll come around. We'll see. After that call, Rachel dialed Richard's number, but to her surprise, a woman picked up. Hello? Hi, I'm looking for Richard. Who's calling? This is Rachel. We work together. Oh. Rachel. I know who you are. Let me make this simple for you. I kicked him out. Don't bother calling again. What? Is something wrong? You don't know? The woman laughed bitterly. I've moved to 2 different cities to get away from this cheating dirtbag. But I'm done running. I'm staying in this house. You can keep him. I don't even know where he is, Rachel said. He doesn't know where I live. Oh, honey, he knows everything. Your address, your schedule, all of it. And don't think you were the only one he had plans with. He was lining up a few of you for some fun while I was supposedly on vacation. Joke's on him, I never left town. Meanwhile, I was already far from the house, and far from her. What Rachel didn't know was that I had a contact at the ski resort. One of the staff, Mark, was an old college buddy of mine who'd ended up managing a mountain base nearby. I gave him a call from the road. Mark, it's Jake. I need a favor. Anything, man? What's going on? I need a place for me and the girls. Just for a little winter getaway. Say no more. A house for 3? That's easy. I've got a few company-owned cabins available. Consider one of them yours. Thanks. One more thing, if anyone calls asking about us, don't tell them we're here. You got it. Your secret's safe. When are you arriving? We're about 90 minutes out. I can't drive too fast, roads are slick. I told Mark over the phone. No problem, he said. I'll have a table set up for you at your cabin's entrance. Just tell the front gate you're here to see me, they'll show you the way. An hour and a half later, we reached the gates of the ski lodge. I rolled down the window and told the gatekeeper we were there to meet Mark. As expected, he gave us directions right away. We parked in a covered lot near the main lodge, grabbed our bags, and headed inside. Mark was already waiting at the dining table. You're always rushing. He grinned. Hurry up before everything on the table gets cold. I smiled back. Let my girls freshen up first, wash up a little, maybe check the place out. There are 2 bedrooms upstairs, 1 down here, he said. Megan and Lily, already dressed in their tracksuits, each grabbed their things and went upstairs. They seemed happy with their rooms, plenty of space, cozy enough. They were growing up so fast. Strong, smart, beautiful. And this trip, it wasn't what I imagined, but I was glad they were here with me. Mark looked around and asked, Where's Rachel? She didn't come? That's a whole story I'll fill you in on later, I said, pouring us both a drink. For now, let's toast to old friends. We clinked glasses and sat down, reminiscing about our college days and between the occasional question from the girls. Eventually, Lily poked her head out from upstairs and asked Mark, Is there anything else to do here besides skiing? Well, he said, there's a dance party in the hall tonight. We didn't bring anything fancy to wear. No need. Come as you are, there's no dress code. Can we go? Of course. Mark smiled. I'll have someone take you over there. A few minutes later, a young lodge employee came by to escort Megan and Lily to the party. Once they were gone, Mark gave me a look. So, your wife. You're really getting a divorce? I nodded slowly. Yeah. I dated Rachel back in the day, he said, shaking his head. Even back then, there were whispers that she was seeing someone else behind my back. Yeah, I remember those rumors. Never had proof, though. Well, this guy from out of town showed up, Richard. Ends up becoming the commercial director at her firm. They start this emotional affair, which I didn't catch at first. Turns out he's married, too. His wife, Kira, got fed up and told me everything. Mark leaned back. So she cheated? No. Technically, no. Not yet. But she and Richard planned a weekend apart from me and the girls, some twisted idea to strengthen the marriage. I paused, gripping my glass tighter. Rachel said it was a sociological experiment. But I saw right through it. Sounds like a load of academic BS. Exactly. Like sociology gone off the rails. These people conduct research, make up conclusions, and then try to reshape their lives around them. So what now? I told her it's over. I can't live like that anymore. Tomorrow, a group of lawyers is coming to the base. I'll meet with them and get the process started. Then let's pour another one. By 11 p.m., Megan and Lily were back. A staff member had walked them home, making sure they were safe. I cooked them a light supper, just something warm and simple, and we ate together before they headed off to bed. I sat alone in my room afterward, the day's weight hitting me all over again. I tried to hold back the tears. Didn't do a great job. I pulled out the recorder from my pocket and played back Rachel's words from earlier, every line, every excuse, every ridiculous justification. It only made my decision feel more right. Back at home, she had no idea where we were. No clue that I'd followed through on our promise to the girls. They were supposed to go skiing, and that's exactly what I gave them, even if the circumstances had changed. Rachel had searched the computer for clues about our destination, but I hadn't left a trace. She came up empty. No browser history. No lodge names. Nothing. The next morning, a knock on the door jolted me awake. Come in, I called out. Megan and Lily burst into the room, full of energy. Daddy? Get up. Let's have breakfast and go skiing. Then ice skating. Megan added. There's a rink here, right? Yeah, there is. I smiled, stretching. Let me get dressed. We'll eat at the cafe. Give me 5 minutes. We headed down to breakfast, changed into our ski clothes, rented some gear, and rode the lift up the slopes. We skied until lunch, laughing the whole time. Back at the cafe, we bumped into Mark and his wife. He pulled me aside. Hey, that legal team I mentioned? They just got here. One of them's a divorce specialist. Come by my office later today. I've got a computer and printer set up, Mark said. Everything you need. I'll take your girls, my wife, and her sister to the ice rink tonight, if that's cool with you. Sounds good. I nodded. They want to go dancing again later. We'll join them, have some fun, then head back to the cabin. Don't forget, tomorrow's New Year's Eve. We've got some celebrating to plan. After lunch, Fodor and I walked over to Mark's office, where we met up with a lawyer. Her name was Maria. She got right to the point. She walked me through the legal side of things, which, honestly, I wasn't too familiar with. She warned me not to make any hasty decisions about our apartment. Look, she said, your girls are going to grow up, build their own lives. They'll need space. If you move in with them now, things might get complicated later on, especially if your ex ends up with a new husband. I can't imagine sharing a roof with her again. I muttered. Try to envision it, just long enough to propose a property division. Let her know you'll be filing for divorce in court. How soon can we get the papers ready? No rush, she said. Courts are closed for the holidays anyway. But I've got my laptop here. I'll draft the documents now, and we'll print them later. You can contact me at my office if you want to move forward officially, or hire me as your attorney. I think I'll go with that last option. That night, we rang in the new year at the ski lodge's big event hall. Me, my daughters, Mark and his wife, her sister, the legal crew, all of us together. Other vacationers joined in too. Music, dancing, food, laughter. For a little while, I let myself enjoy it. So did the girls. After midnight, we headed back to the cabin. Megan and Lily were exhausted. They crashed fast. I returned to the main lodge, where the party carried on for a while longer. We eventually ended up by the fireplace in Mark's place, then went our separate ways for the night. The next few days followed the same rhythm: skiing, skating, evening dances. It was everything the girls had hoped for. One night, Mark pulled me aside. How are you holding up? I gave him a tired smile. Daytime's easy. But at night? I've cried more than I'd like to admit. Still, I'm more certain now than ever that I'm doing the right thing. When our trip came to an end, I packed everything up with the girls and we hit the road. On the way home, I reminded them how important it was to keep the apartment, that we need to stick together through whatever came next. We stopped by the mall for groceries, and by the time we made it home, it was already dark. Megan and Lily wasted no time. They immediately got to work rearranging their rooms. Lily moved her things into Megan's room. That's when Rachel walked in. What are you two doing? She asked, puzzled. We're turning Lily's room into Dad's room, Megan said. We're gonna share one. Rachel raised her eyebrows. And why's that? Because Dad said so, Lily said plainly. Rachel stood there for a moment, then snapped. Fine. But just so you know, I won't tolerate any of your boyfriends in this house. You can hang out wherever you want, just not here. Oh, and by the way, she added coldly, I'm filing for divorce. The girls said nothing. With the room changes done, they got ready for school. I got to work prepping dinner and breakfast for the next day. Rachel tried to start a conversation, but I shut it down. Didn't even look at her. Later, she went into the girls' room. You two want to talk? We didn't miss you, Megan said, her voice quiet but firm. Girls, I called. Don't let her get to you. Just steer clear of her this week. From that point on, we lived like strangers under one roof. I locked the doors to the rooms we used. I cooked for myself and the girls. Rachel? I ignored her completely. That Friday night, a courier showed up at the door. The young woman handed Rachel a registered envelope, a summons. Inside was the divorce claim. Rachel read it, then stormed into the kitchen, tears streaming down her face. "Why are you doing this?" she cried. "We could still work this out." I didn't even look up from what I was doing. "Call a lawyer. Talk to them about it." "But Richard's gone," she blurted out. "Then maybe call him," I replied flatly. "I don't have anyone else," she whispered. I stayed quiet. Megan and Lily had already eaten and were back in their room, not saying a word to her. Rachel kept pleading, desperate, broken. "I still love you. I love the girls. Jake, please." I finally looked at her and said, "And what's love got to do with any of this?" "I loved you, Rachel. I really did. Right up until I found out you were messing around with your old college boyfriend, the same guy you never even told me about. I realized how foolish it was to love you," I told her, standing firm. "You want to talk? Fine. Let's talk. Tell me all about your made-up weekend. What exactly did you plan? How were you gonna spend it? It's been a while since I heard any of those brilliant sociological theories from your old buddy. Come on, enlighten me. What did you two come up with this time?" I could feel the bitterness in my voice, and I didn't care. "How'd it go, anyway? Did you enjoy yourself?" "Bet it was a blast, especially since your pal vanished again." Rachel said nothing. So I finished my dinner, stood up, and started gathering the dishes. As I clattered them into the sink, Megan walked into the kitchen. "Dad, I can help with those," she offered. "I got it, sweetheart," I said gently. "Go upstairs, finish tidying your room. Your clothes are dry, I'll iron them in a bit." She nodded and left, leaving just me and Rachel again in the silence. She stood off to the side, feeling completely shut out of the conversation, and rightly so. Seeing she wasn't going to get a word in, she eventually turned and went to her room. I washed the dishes quickly, turned off the lights, and headed to mine. On the way, I noticed the pile of laundry I'd done earlier still waiting to be ironed. But before I could settle in, I passed through the kitchen again, and found Rachel sitting there in the dark. As soon as she saw me, she spoke. "Hank, none of this was planned. I didn't mean for it to happen like this. Richard and we dated in college. Then he disappeared. Just cut me off. No pressure, no drama. Hardly anyone even knew we were together. And then, years later, he just shows up at my job. We started working together again, and one day, he asked me to lunch." She paused, her voice trembling. "At first, it was just lunch. Just catching up. But something shifted. He said everything had to be discreet. No drama, no scandal. I didn't expect it to go anywhere. I thought it would be a one-time thing, a simple break, nothing serious." I stared at her, jaw clenched. "So that's why you spun that whole story about the temporary separation? That was your idea of easing me into it? I didn't think it would go this far," she whispered. "I agreed to Richard's plan. I thought it was just a fling." "Rachel," I said, stepping closer. "Can't you see he was using you? You really didn't see that?" "It's not that," she said, her voice cracking. It's been a long time since you told me I looked good. Or noticed when I dressed up. Or said anything about my hair. And that's your justification? Because I didn't compliment you enough, you felt entitled to cheat? I'm not saying it's all your fault. Oh, but you're definitely not taking responsibility either," I snapped. "So what now? Every guy who says you look nice gets a pass at you." Over the next few days, I started preparing for a meeting with child welfare officials. Maria, my lawyer, said their assessment would play a big role in court. And while the girls' opinions would matter too, I knew I had to get everything lined up. Nights were the worst. When I was alone, I couldn't sleep. My head wouldn't stop spinning, thoughts of betrayal, of everything Rachel and I had built, crumbling. I just wanted it to be over. I wanted the divorce. No matter how long it took. I'd lost all trust in her. There was nothing left to repair. Even the girls had started pulling away from her, One night, Rachel came to me and pleaded again. Hank, for the kids, can't we just stay married? Try to make it work? I shook my head. Rachel, I believe our daughters need to know they're loved, unconditionally. But they're old enough to see what's happening. They've made their own judgments, and I haven't said a word against you. Whatever they think, they got from what they heard, from you, not me. She looked stunned. I continued. I'm proud of them, actually. They saw the truth between you and Richard. They talked it out, and made a decision on their own. That weekend trip changed everything, for them, and for me. She hesitated. Do they hate me? I looked her in the eyes. For someone with a sociology degree, I said quietly, you sure don't understand people very well. I didn't expect that, I admitted. Yeah, they know their mother was unfaithful. And yes, they're angry with you. You might be able to repair things with them, eventually. But as a sociologist, you studied human behavior, right? You should remember what adolescence is. I paused and continued. That window between ages 10 and 16? It's a critical transition, from childhood to adulthood. Their bodies and minds are changing fast. How you connect with them now, it's unpredictable. And complicated. In the days leading up to the court hearing, Rachel made multiple emotional appeals. None of them stuck. Eventually, we stood across from each other in the courtroom for our preliminary session. The judge gave us some time, a chance to reconcile before things became official. When that grace period ended, I laid it out clearly. I'm proposing a custody agreement as part of the divorce. I said. The girls will live with me. Rachel shook her head. I won't sign any agreement. I warned her calmly. Then I'll have to take this to court. They'll hear my side, speak to the girls, and make a decision. You can't be so sure they'll side with you, she said, her voice rising. Court decisions can be appealed. Good luck with that, I replied. She paused, her tone shifting. Hank, I know I've been foolish. I realize I made a mistake. Please understand, I love you. I won't ever see Richard again. I gave her a tired look. And you've already decided to replace him with someone else, haven't you? That's your life, Rachel. Do what you want. Just don't lay the blame at my feet. You're the sociologist, figure it out. Then I added, and if you change your mind and want to sign the custody agreement, it needs to be done with a notary present. Maria, my lawyer, had already explained that while notarization isn't strictly required for a custody agreement, it gives the document more weight and legal stability, especially if it's ever challenged in court. But Rachel wasn't ready to sign anything. And frankly, I didn't need her to. The court's deadline for reconciliation passed without resolution. Rachel made last-ditch efforts to reconnect with the girls, but they weren't interested. After school, Megan and Lily dove into their computer science classes, then headed home with me. After a snack, they usually did homework in my room while I cooked dinner and prepped breakfast for the next morning. One afternoon, child welfare officials paid a visit. They spoke with the girls, checked out their room, and made notes for their report. Everything went smoothly. When our final court date arrived, I showed up with the girls. Maria stood with us, going over last-minute details. Rachel arrived alone. No lawyer. But from what I heard, she had consulted with a few counselors and some divorced friends. She understood this was the end. During the trial, the judge asked questions. Rachel responded simply, mostly yes or no. Her tone was quiet. Resigned. By the end, she surprised everyone. I'm relinquishing my share of the apartment to my daughters, she told the judge, presenting a deed of gift. I've already taken my personal belongings. The rest will be picked up within the week. Then she requested a short recess. After we returned, she added something else. I'm willing to pay child support voluntarily. I understand the court may not rule in my favor. I nodded, responding plainly. I appreciate that, but let's make sure everything is documented clearly for transparency. As part of the child support arrangement, I told the judge, I proposed that the defendant open a separate bank account for each of our daughters and deposit the support funds there. They'll need that money when they come of age. The judge nodded, took notes, and clarified that the court wouldn't be ruling on alimony or property division. Those weren't part of the initial claim. The focus would remain solely on the child support agreement and the divorce itself. After a short recess, the decision was handed down. The divorce was granted. Rachel and I walked out of the courthouse no longer husband and wife. Megan and Lily had been excused earlier. We found them sitting on a bench near a bus stop, happily eating ice cream despite the freezing cold. "What are you doing?" I asked, genuinely puzzled. "It's freezing out here." They laughed. "We brought it from home," Megan said. "It's winter, it won't melt. And it helps with sore throats." I couldn't help but smile at the strange logic. It was so them. We chatted for a moment, then I asked why they'd chosen age 19 as the point they could access their accounts. "That's what we decided." Gwen shrugged. "Old enough to be smart with it, but still young enough to need it." True to her word, Rachel moved out. She went to live with her parents and helped care for her sick mother. I allowed her to visit the girls once a week, though at first they were hesitant. Over time, those visits became part of our new rhythm, limited, but consistent. Epilogue. Time passed. I spent a long stretch alone, focusing on being the kind of father my daughters deserved. That next New Year's Eve, the three of us returned to the ski resort, just like before. This time, we were joined by Katia, Mark's wife's sister. We'd grown close over the months. We weren't rushing into anything. No big declarations, no labels. Just companionship. Understanding. She didn't have children of her own, but she clicked with Megan and Lily in a way that surprised me, even though, at first, there was some jealousy. That's natural, I suppose. But I made sure they knew they would always come first. I treated Rachel with respect. I kept the door open for communication and allowed her visits. But we were no longer a couple, and not quite friends either. The girls grew up beautifully, without giving me any real trouble. I gave them everything I could: love, attention, structure, and in return, they gave me strength. When Katia came into our lives, she didn't replace anyone. She just added to what we already had. Rachel had a tough year. Both her parents passed away within months of each other. I helped with the funerals, not because I had to, but because it was the right thing to do. Still, our shared grief didn't change anything between us. She lived alone for a long time, with Megan and Lily becoming the center of her small, quiet world. Eventually, she started seeing someone, a kind, widowed neighbor who understood loneliness. They were good for each other. As for Richard, he vanished completely. Never came back to town. Even Kira, his ex-wife, now remarried, had no idea where he went. And honestly, that part didn't matter anymore. We had all moved on.